Okay, here I am in Long Beach on Palo Verde and Stearns, and here's the old 76 gas station. Don't know what's happening. Looks like they're tearing it down. Don't know if they're just going to rebuild it or become a different type of station, something different altogether. Over there at Taco Bell used to be Burger Master hamburger stand where I used to work. Where it says burgers and dogs way over there, used to be Winchell's. We have lots of donuts. I'll turn around here. Heading down Palo Verde. Here's one of the old churches. Was there. Let's see, what's it called? Isa Mashsi El Shaddai. It wasn't called that when I was here. Grace Community Church. Maybe it was called that, I don't remember. But these buildings here used to just be a dirt lot when I was here. And then they started building these buildings. And a bunch of us kids would come over here and have rock fights. It actually scared me because some of the older kids were throwing pretty big stones pretty hard. And I was afraid somebody was going to lose an eye or get hurt real bad. I don't think it happened, but it could easily have happened. And then there used to be a hobby shop in there. Or it was fun to go get models and dream of getting models. Airplanes and boats and cars. It's not a gas station anymore. Sam's Drive-In used to be here. The dairy. This church has always been here since I moved here 60 years ago. And the roof of this building is steep, and we come walking down here and throw like tennis balls and things up on this roof and it come back to us. Most of the time that was fine, but when we did it on Sundays, the people inside didn't like it. These bushes have grown up. There's windows there, and they would be open and they'd look out and frown at us throwing our balls, tennis balls, volleyballs, whatever, up there on their roof. Okay, so this is the street I grew up on. This white truck, well, here, start down here. This house the Maraldos lived in. They have a swimming pool. So we spent a lot of time there swimming with Johnny. He was my age, and his older brother Bob. His mother Louise. Forget the man's name. And then when we moved in, this home was the Pryor's home. Then several other people owned it over the years. Forget their names. This was the Cole's house. Don and Beverly Cole. They had 4 kids or so. Bruce and I can't think of the others right now. Judy. Seems like there was another boy or 2. This is the house that I grew up in with the white truck. So, spent tens of thousands of hours out here in the lawn. Those eucalyptus trees weren't there when I first moved here. But I stood right there in 1969, I guess July 20th, looking up at the sky when men were on the moon, just going, wow. There's people actually on the moon right now as I was looking at it. My best friend Gregory Beck lived in this house. His sister Melanie, she was a year or 2 older. And their parents, Eddie and Margaret Beck. It's changed a lot. Now, all these homes have been remodeled since I was here. They're like unrecognizable. Here's the Morrison's house. They added on when I was here, but it hasn't changed too much since the addition. There's a honking big rig here. I don't know what that is. Then the Christensen's house, completely redone. Can't recognize that at all. Spent a lot of time here. And I remember when I first moved here, I think I was about 4.5, and these trees were tiny. And I came out and I'm pulling on them, and they're really small. And they're bending over, and I was like probably not quite 5, and the lady that lived here, Hazel Christensen, she goes out and told me to stop doing that to the trees because I was bending them over completely and doubled over. But they survived. Look how big they are now. George Smith. Now that house has not been remodeled. I'm going to go knock on his door and see if he's there in a bit. Be nice to talk to George. I've been told he's the only original person left that was here from 60 years ago. But there might be somebody here, the Eno's home. I'll knock on their door too. Here's Mr. Michaud's house. He was a nice guy. He would take us fishing. This used to be his garage here, as I recall. Now there's a garage back there. But this front used to be a garage. And this home's been remodeled. I don't know who lived there. But they had bushes, and we would play hide and seek and hide in their bushes. This is the Brown's home. Shirley Brown, Richard, David, and the rest. Mr. and Mrs. Brown. Played in their yard, in their home a lot. The Bryant family lived over here somewhere, I think. Maybe this one here. Paul Bryant, I think was his name. And then we'll drive down the street here. Hang a right on McNabb. And there's a house here that's for sale. I think it's the Melton's house. Mr. Melton was an optometrist. One time a whole bunch of us kids were out here, and we tied some like nylons that women would wear across the street here, from like a pole or a tree to a pole or a tree over here, and then wait for cars to drive by. And when we did that, and a cop happened to drive by, and he stopped, and a dozen kids went in 14 different directions. We were so afraid we were going to be arrested. And I went into the Melton's backyard and hid, and I could have stayed hidden, but when he said, okay, if you guys are in here, come on out, and I was obedient and I came out. But of course we weren't arrested. They just, you know, lectured us on the dangers of doing that. If you tie a piece of string across, no biggie. You know, a motorcycle could go through it. I think this is Albert Rappaport's house. The Rappaports. But somebody honked at me. So anyway, about the nylons had a motorcyclist come by. That motorcyclist would have been decapitated or hit it and just yanked off of his motorcycle. So yeah, we did the wrong thing, but it was fun. And then this little blue house here, I think this was the Dixons. Good friends, John and Joel Dixon. Spent a lot of time there. And then here's the Munter's house. Spent quite a bit of time there. Ed and Fern Munter, and a couple of girls, and us, and David and Jack, and Karen and Susie for the girls. Paul, that's the one I hung out with the most. The parents are both gone. Paul's passed away. David's passed away. Loved them all. So we're on Fairbrook Street here. I think there's a guy named David Selnick, or Shellnut, I forget. Shellnut lived down here somewhere. Don't know which one, which house. Most of the homes have been remodeled. Which I suppose is a good thing. In fact, let's go back down Marita Street here. Tom Griffin lived here. Griffiths, he lived in that home. He was a nice guy. So we're back on Marita Street. And the cul-de-sacs are down here. I don't remember anybody that lived in here, but there's one home. They built it up 2 or 3 stories. It's kind of weird, as I recall. Yeah, to me that's just kind of an odd house. I don't know. It's kind of funny that thing's sticking out there, and then you got that extra place on the top, which would be like the 3rd story. Kind of an observation room, I guess. Big place for here. Then here's a home. It looks like they're going to put a 2nd story on. They've taken the roof off. So yeah, they're gonna gut that place and remodel it like so many others here. So it looks like they're trying to protect the base. So they have the roof off. Here we are coming up to McNabb, where I think I'll make a U-turn. Okay, so still on Marita Street. There's the one where they're decapitating the house, and head down towards Minnie Gant, the grammar school. I flunked kindergarten. I grew up, or I was, the first 4.5 years of my life, I was in Wilmington, California, went to kindergarten there. And when my parents moved here to Long Beach, this is the Los Altos area, she went to register me, my mom, for 1st grade, and they go, oh, he's too young, he has to go to kindergarten. He goes, well, he went to kindergarten. Oh, I think Debbie Oberg lived in that house there. She was a nice gal. Yeah, they said he's too young to go to 1st grade, so he'll have to go to kindergarten, even though I had already been to kindergarten. So I like to say I flunked kindergarten and had to go twice. So Chrissy Christensen, she was a year ahead of me, but she was really only 6 months older than me, but I guess she made the cut. So she went to 1st grade and I went to kindergarten. Otherwise it would have been in Christine's class. Okay, this is Minnie Gant. This is where I went to school, starting about 59 years ago. And there's no school in session right now. They're painting it and removing asbestos. Can't be as dangerous as they say, because thousands. Here comes an airplane. That happened all the time. They flew right over. Every day, planes flew over the school and the Long Beach airport. So there's the sign, Minnie Gant School. if I stayed here a few more minutes, there'd be more planes. Well, they still have the same flight pattern. I was in here about an hour ago. I wanted to go in the auditorium, but they told me no, they're removing the asbestos. I said, well, yeah, I've breathed that for 7 years. I think I can handle it. Couldn't go in. I just wanted to see how big it really is, because it seemed gigantic when you're 5 years old, but at age 64 I'll bet it doesn't look quite so big. Alright, coming up here to Atherton. This is Cal State Long Beach. There's the big pyramid. It was not there when I was a kid. This was all fields. We could just ride our bikes and play in this. It's just fields. And then they turned it into big parking lots, and most of the kids around here learned to drive in the parking lots over here. And then they started adding all these other buildings and that big pyramid back there. And the pyramid's been there a long time now, but it wasn't there when I was young. And this would be Whaley Park on our left. Spent a lot of time there, of course. There's another extension of Whaley Park. And let's turn down Chatwin Avenue. Had some friends here. The Jones family. Oh, here's another home. Looks like it's going to be remodeled here. Going to add on to that small home. Yeah, the homes here were small, you know, 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet. Okay, so we're on Chatwin Avenue. And I think Mark, is it Huffman? Mark Huffman lived down here. I think the Orcutts lived down here. Rick Orcutt and his family. Some of these have been remodeled, some have not been. (1908). I think the Jones family lived in 1954, maybe. I don't see an address here. Oh, there's 1950, so it must be the next one. 1954, I think that's the Jones house. They didn't have this patio on the front. So there's the Joneses' house. I didn't know many people in this house, just the Joneses, and then Mark down the street, and the Orcutt family. Continue on down here. There's a library down here on the right. And it seems like this home on the left, my friend Paul Munter bought it for a while as an investment. Don't know what happened to it. Paul's passed away now. Okay, so now I'm going to turn right on Daggett. And here's the library. I started going to that library probably not quite 60 years ago when we moved here. Or whenever they started. I've been there many times. I love that library. Here's the old Los Altos shopping mall, which is no longer like a shopping mall. I think this building here used to be the Broadway. This building here did not exist at the time. It's just parking. But the Broadway is now a Sears store. It was an outdoor mall. All kinds of good places in here. Save-Ons, Woolworths, hardware store, See's Candy. Best of Market. I don't know what that is. I have to get back a ways from this. So I think they tore down the mall. But this Sears store, they just remodeled it. It used to be Broadway, a Broadway store. Over there's a CVS drugstore. It used to be like Lucky's, I think. It's all gone. All this in here I think they completely tore down the mall and then rebuilt this. I mean, tearing down the mall is the right thing to do, I guess, but it would have been fun to have a 50s mall still in existence. But people don't like cool things like that. Wonder if Hoff's Hut's across the street. This Rite Aid here used to be Thrifty Drugstore. Save-On's used to be right here. Don't know what it is now, I can't see it, but the Rite Aid used to be Thrifty's. You get ice cream for a nickel in there. It was really good. 2 scoops for a dime. If you had 15 cents, you got 3 scoops. Christmas time, walking across the street here, they'd have to have a policeman here because so just huge mobs of people crossing the street, you know, doing their Christmas shopping here. It was fun. Maybe I'll go left here instead of into this mall. No, I'm going to go straight. I'm going to go straight. So these are all newer stores. They weren't here when I first moved to the area. There used to be a Unimart down here, and then I forget what else they changed it to. These stores would just change from time to time, just small stores. But we did go to the Thrifty Mart, which would be right here, a lot, to get ice creams and buy birthday cards and things like that. Oh, this is a Target store now. So it used to be Unimart. I guess it's Target. I'm going to kind of go back out and go over to where Tasty Freeze used to be. As you can probably tell, I'm just hand holding this. I don't have my other camera where I could attach it to the window and drive more safely and have things not as shaky. Security guard. Trader Joe's.